buddy of mine made me think of another situation I was in. Um, However, this one's a little different. But here we go. So I gotta tell you the backstory. Now, um, in 1998, um, my old best friend was murdered um, on Madison in Seattle. And I was a junior in high school when this happened. And it was the first close death I had ever dealt with. It was huge, it was big. This was somebody I was really close to. He was like everyone's, brother. Like he was like the coolest guy in the neighborhood. And in a good way, all the way around. He was an amazing best basketball player I've ever seen in my life. And anyhow, he was murdered, and it hurt the whole neighborhood, kids, parents, all of us. So the killer had never been caught or found. They don't know who did it. The streets say who did it, but the police seem not to know anything. So, and you know how that goes. So, um, many years later, like this was, I can tell you, this was about 7 years later. This was like 7 years after his death. Um, Everyone had kept hearing the name of the person who had did it, and I'm not going to use any names right now, but I had heard this name. Now I'm over at my best buddy's dad's birthday party at his house. And it was like kind of almost like a neighborhood get together. And during the barbecue, certain friends, two guys who were actually cool with each other that are friends, what happens with alcohol. So alcohol's involved, and all of a sudden a problem occurs. And to, basically to put an end to the BS, they got there through me. Like I drove them there. They were completely invited, but I'm the one who drove them there. So in order to kill all of it, I was like, look, I'm leaving. So if you guys want to ride, come on now. And I did that just because I wanted to get them away from the trouble. And so they got in my car, we left. And I'm getting ready to drop them off because, I just never, I don't like dealing with alcohol. I don't like dealing with people who are, full of alcohol, not being judgmental here. I don't like it, because their whole personality changes, So before I drop them off, they're like, well, can you take us to the liquor store? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I go to take them to the liquor store before I drop them off. And all of a sudden, so there's two of them in the car. There's two of my buddies in the car. One of the guys is my buddy I grew up with. And the other guy is his uncle. And as we're at the liquor store, all of a sudden I hear my buddy in the back go, that's him, that's the guy who killed, my partner. And I'm like, What? Where? And he's like, right there. That's him right there. And so I'm like, and I said the name. I'm like, so that's blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, that's him right there. That's him. And I'm like, well, I don't know why you're getting so pumped up about, because, ain't nothing about to happen right here. You know what I mean? Like, if that's him, call the police. See, that's the thing is, he's from the streets, and you don't call the police in the streets. No snitching, right? You know how all that go. So it is what it is. Then it ain't. I'm. Hey, his whole family know what's happening, so that's on them, right? Well, his uncle comes out the liquor store, and now he says to his uncle, that's him, that's who killed blah, blah, blah. And he's like, where? And he's like, right there in that car. And I'm like, man, I'm leaving. Fuck what y'all talking about. I'm not, don't put me in this bullshit. And uncle jumps out the car as I'm driving. I mean, as soon as I kind of got on the, to get out the parking lot, he jumps out the car. And he walks over to the dude, and I'm like, oh my God, what have I got? He walks up to the car and he's like, hey, is your name blah blah? And he's like, yeah, what's up? Who is you? And he's like, I'm so and so's uncle. Yeah. And I heard through the grapevine you're the one who killed Woochie Woochie Woo. He's like, and I can hear dude going, nah, man, that ain't me. Nah, that ain't me. And he's like, well, step out the car. Step out the car. I'm like, here we go, man. And dude was like, nah, I'm not stepping out the car. And he's like, step out the car before I reach in there and pull you out. And as he said that, I see the dude reach over to his glove compartment. Now it's really about to get ugly. This guy is reaching the glove compartment, and there's no way the person who's by him talking to him, my boy's uncle, that can stop him right now. So he's out weaponed. You know what I mean? Um, as he reaches over to grab and pulls out, the uncle steps back, and I'm still like talking to my boy in the back, like I'm almost kind of cussing him out. I'm giving him the business because I'm like, why you got me in this bullshit, And at the same time, I'm like, I hate fucking drunk people. And so what I did is I drove up almost in front of the car that the dude was sitting in. And as he's pulling back out like he's grabbing the gun, I kind of stick my head out the window and I said, don't do that. Don't do that. And he looked at me, and I'm like, please listen to me. And I'm just looking at it, and I'm shaking my head going, don't do that. Don't do that. And as I'm saying that, I tell his uncle, hey, let's go. Get in. If you don't get in the car, I'm leaving you. Like real talk, I'm gone. And so it's like he didn't really believe me. So I got on the gas. You know what I mean? Like I started hitting the gas, and when I did that, he, backed up, and then he ran around to the front of the car, and he got in the car, and I drove the hell off as fast as possible. And my boy in the back, like after it calmed down, because his uncle's like, man, what you acting all like whoop 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 for? And I'm like, dude, whatever you think you should be doing, that's not the right move. First of all, your dude got a gun and you got fists. You guys are not equal. That's number one. I'm not your bodyguard. You know what I mean? That's not the move. If you think something needs to happen to dude, then you need to call the police. If you want to handle business on the street, then do that on your own time, but not on my time. You know what I mean? Not happening. So, there was like arguing in the car and whatnot. I'm arguing with him, and but then they finally kind of like calmed down, and I dropped him off. When I dropped him off, the uncle, I dropped him off because he's probably tired of me, telling him shit. And then I drove some more, and I dropped off my boy who was in the back, and my boy grabbed me and he said, "You just don't know. You're like a guardian angel sometimes." And then he got out the car and he was like, "I love you, man," and that was it. Now I don't talk about that situation. I got there's a lot of situations like that, where if I wanted to, I could. There's a lot more videos I could make, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but you know it it maybe it could help somebody. I don't know. Because Whammy is full of all types of different people, and it could even be somebody who's kind of grew up the way I did, and know the right path, but they got a lot of friends that did not and are not taking the right path, and you can't give in to the influences. You got to be able to ignore that and keep on going. Make the right decisions in life. Don't fall into that peer pressure. Because a lot of them, oh, you ain't what you got that gun for if you ain't gonna use it. You scared to bust. I mean, they get to saying whatever they want to say to you, to get you to, do what they want you to do. Almost like you're their bodyguard. They feel power because they're with somebody who has a gun. And that shit's corny. So yeah, that's that one.